all the fears that we walk around with. Help me with some fears. Fears, this person doesn't love me. I'm afraid this person doesn't love me. This person loves me. I'm afraid of that. This person might leave me. This person thinks badly of me. These people think badly of me. Will there be enough money? Fears. Anybody?
Will I be able to still be loving and draw my boundaries?
Will I be able to still be loving and have boundaries, healthy boundaries for myself? Yeah. Yeah. Other fears. I might get sick. I might die. Well, that's kind of a certainty, but the ego thinks, oh,
Not today.
can't have that. Right? Fears, fears, fears. So here at Uplift, sometimes it's gonna seem negative. You're gonna say, gosh, that was kind of a negative talk today. Well, that might be. But it might be the ego is saying, I'm being unmasked. There's a chance here that I might lose my sense of who I am because of what that jerk is saying up there. Or whoever. I don't think I'm going to go back, or I think I'm going to complain about it or talk about it. I know, because it's just not the spirit of positive uplift. We're talking about a journey through. We're talking about a journey through. And so we're talking about a journey that involves going through the dark tunnel to get through the light. And sometimes that tunnel, it goes a long way. In Catholic circles, when I grew up, we called this process the dark night of the soul. Does everybody know about the dark night of the soul? I think St. John the Cross came up with that term. But I think it's important, I felt it's important for me to say that the stuff we're doing here is not the kind of stuff that the ego that holds us together wants to do necessarily. Doesn't want to do it until it has to because nothing else has worked. I don't want to do it God's way. I've got my own plan, and until that plan completely fails, and perhaps multiple times, we start to see maybe there's something else I can plug into for a little help. So, dark night of the soul can last a long time, but on the other side is the gift of knowing who we are. Knowing who we are, the freedom and the enlightenment that exists there. So we can look at all the negative, fearful experiences that we've had and have. And almost think of it as like it's building a momentum. I don't know if it's going to happen for you in this life or another life, but I have this faith that it happens for everybody. This enlightenment thing. But imagine you've got a slingshot and the force pulling this, the rock back is all this negative stuff. My illness, the person that left me for somebody else, the not enough money, until it's just too much strain to hold this all together. Boom! Release. I don't have to hold it all together. And you're into the stratosphere. So, when you've discovered that level of release, and Many of us have had glimpses of this. We're more or less rooted in this. But that feeling of, who am I? I'm nobody. I don't even know who I am anymore in the dark night becomes, I'm somebody. I am of light. I am of love. And that is my identity. It's not important anymore that I be special. I don't have to be special. What a relief! I don't have to be special because I'm in love. I'm resting in love. It's just not important anymore. Whole other way of thinking than the run-of-the-mill societal mindset that we are surrounded by. So, here's a question. Am I enlightened? Jay Horn, am I enlightened? Well, he's in charge of this thing. So if you ask me that question, I just have to take a breath. And I say, yes, I'm enlightened. I'm enlightened. Just the knowing of it and the saying of it, it brings a smile to my face. It's hard to relax the smile. You know that feeling? Two qualifications, however, my supreme enlightenment. One is, it's a relative enlightenment. Relative. Everybody is always growing. So even the greatest gurus have somewhere to go in growth. There's just endless levels to achieve in the spiritual, on the spiritual path, the spiritual journey. So, yeah, I have a degree of enlightenment, and it's good. It's good. However, it's also unstable. Darn. Darn. It's unstable because I'm in my enlightenment, and all of a sudden, how am I going to pay the rent? I don't know if this is going to come together. Whoa, where's my enlightenment? What happened? Or I just got off this retreat and I'm really in a good place, and the next big event I'm going to is holidays with the family. Whoa! Off my pedestal of enlightenment. So there's a relative instability, and even the great spiritual teachers will talk about this, or their devotees will talk about, they're not always on this cloud. So there's no need for us to put up these big expectations for ourselves. It's just a matter of becoming more stable in our enlightenment. And that means returning to love again and again and again, and letting our difficult experiences return us to love again and again. And we find that things, crazy things that great spiritual teachers say, like, you must lose your life to find it. You must lose your life to find it. What? Love your enemies. Love your enemies? Are you crazy? From this perspective of enlightenment, it's not crazy anymore. It's actually a reality. That's what we're shooting for here, and I'm glad to be shooting for it with all of you. We have an affirmation. Oh, we have an affirmation which is actually going to come right after this very brief paragraph. I want to share with you 3 paragraphs. Just a little story. On the question of his own enlightenment, the master always remained reticent, even though his disciples tried every means to get him to talk. All the information they had on this subject was that when the master once said to his youngest son, who wanted to know what his father felt when he became enlightened, the answer was, I felt like a fool. I felt like a fool. When the boy asked why, the master had replied, well, son, it was like going to great pains to break into a house by climbing a ladder and smashing a window and realizing later that the door of the house was open. So we have this paradox after all these words I've said. We can talk about the journey of enlightenment that we're all on, and we can talk about the present reality that's always available to us in this moment, right here and right now. So we live in this paradox together. Our affirmation is as follows. See if this works for you. Right now, I am as enlightened as I will allow myself to be. Does that feel a little funny? Right now, I am as enlightened as I will allow myself to be. So let's try it together. Right now, I am as enlightened as I will allow myself to be.
As I will allow myself to be.
Now, it's just words if you're not feeling it. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? All together. Right now, I am as enlightened as I will allow myself to be. And so it is.